Hi folks, Rachel here. Please do give me a thumbs up and do pop me a note in the comments so I know you are present. So let me show you what we're going to be making, a macrame dragonfly. Now this one does not have any eyes, but the one I'm demonstrating will have some eyes. So this is quite a thick paracord with 3mm. This is a thinner paracord. This is actually using the Macrame thread, rattail, and this one, nice little card that my mum did as well. So this is 2mm thick cord that I'm working with. So I found the centre point, so I brought both ends together and I found the centre point of my thread, and I've just popped a needle in there to secure it in place. Now I'm going to measure approximately 6.5 centimetres. So let's just bring that a little bit more into your view, and I'm going to pop that to 6.5 centimetres from the base and 6.5 centimetres on the other side as well. This is where you'll end up with a little wonky head because I haven't measured it correctly. So I can take that away just for a second. So those beads are going to form the eyes, and I'm going to bring those round. Let's just reposition that needle a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to start our macrame. Now the macrame, it's a square knot macrame. So we're going to start by forming, I call it a Q shape on the left hand side. So we're forming a Q shape. So it's really important that this goes over the two strands. I'm going to lift this up so that this sits on top of this tail. I'm going to bring this underneath the double strands. I'm going to call this middle bit the lazy strand because it doesn't do anything. And then I'm going to push that until it comes up through here, and then I'm going to lock these two eyes into place. So you've got to remember, because there's no indication at this point where you're going to go next, we alternate between the left and the right. So I'm now going to complete one macrame weave by making a P shape on the right. That will go over the two strands. I'm going to lift this one up that's on the left, and with the tail's going to go under the lazy strand and up through there. So I'm going to pull both tails together, and that now locks it into place. Can you see, let's just get in a wee bit closer, that I've got a little lump on the side there. I call that like a little humpback bridge. When you're doing square knot macrame, when you've got that, it shows you that your next move will be on this side. But before we start our next move, we're actually going to pull out a section for the wings. So I'm going to measure. You can just eyeball it, absolutely fine if you're comfortable with that. But we're not going for the wonky wing look tonight. So I'm going to measure 2.5 centimetres from the centre, so in between those two threads. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm just going to zoom out a wee bit. There we go. So you can see I've got my two pins there. The hump is on the left, which indicates that my next move is on the left. So I'm making my Q shape. I'm going to bring this one over the top of this thread, under the lazy strand, and up and through. So although we're making wings, it's exactly the same weave. Now there's nothing there that indicates where our next move is, so you have to remember. So we're now going to do a P shape to the right. So we're going to do a full weave before we do the second wing. So this goes there, keep that in place. This one goes under the lazy strand and up through the centre. I'm just going to pull those tight a little bit. And now you can see it starting to form. So we've now locked that into place. We've got our little Humpty back bridge on the left again, and I'm going to measure this time 2 centimetres either side. Now this is a nice little project to do with the kids as well. Obviously I wouldn't recommend the burning, that's one for the adults. So as the hump's on the left, we're going to start our next weave on the left, over the top 2. This must go over that one, under the lazy strands and up through there and pull. Now our next move is going to be on the right, so we're going to lock that into place. Please, if you've got any questions for me, do feel free to ask as we're going along. So that's where we're at the moment. So we've got our 2 wings in place, and now we're going to continue and make the rest of the body. Now on this one I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that's 14, but you can, depends how big your dragonfly is or you want it to be. So I'm going to stay in close, but I'm going to pull out these little pins. I'm going to give you some top tips. My top tips are, do not cut the thread too close, because if you do, you end up not having anything to singe and it will come unravelled. So I'm just going to leave a couple of mil. And then try and avoid the rest of the area. You just want to singe this bit here. And you can either use the tip of your lighter, and what it does is it melts it. You can always use a Sharpie pen on top if you've burnt too much of it off. And then I'm going to do the other side, just a couple of mil. Keep it well away from your fingers. But paracord is meant for singeing, honest. So you can see what that does is, because it melts it, it's not going anywhere, and you don't have any nasty knots that you've got to cover up afterwards. Just be careful if you're using other types of thread. They may not be conducive to using the lighter width. Now before I zoom back out, I'm just going to show you how you attach. So if you want that, for example, to go onto a little clip, we've got a jump ring with a slit on there. You're going to need 2 sets of pliers, and this is where I can't actually find where the slit is. Yeah, there it is. So you want the slit at 12 o'clock, and you want to open it in a rocking action. So not that way, but that way. And then we're going to add that on and hook the tail of your little dragonfly on, And there you go. So you've got a nice little bag charm. Now a top tip, if you haven't got the tools, then you may want to thread the end of the tail directly onto this when you start. You can order a PDF pattern, which is £2 from my website, beadsbyvachil.co.uk. But please do share your makes. I don't know how many of you are in my Facebook group. I'll put the link in later. Basically, you can buy materials in there, but there's a lot more chat where we actually share what you make in there as well. So if you've got any makes, whether they're macrame from here or what you've done, there's a little thread in there that says this month's makes. I would love you to share it because it gets people chatting and building up our community. That's it for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye.